Well, Monday at sundown marks the beginning of Passover, the Jewish holiday that celebrates the Israelites' flight from Egypt and slavery. The story of Passover is recorded in the Torah, the sacred text and foundation of Judaism. In an unusual exhibit at the San Francisco Contemporary Jewish Museum, a scribe is writing out the entire Torah, letter by letter. As we see in this story from KQED's Spark production, what makes it even more extraordinary? The scribe is a woman.
אתה תדבר את כל אשר אצווך, ואהרון אחיך ידבר אל פרעה, ושילח את בני ישראל מארצו. You shall repeat all that I command you, and your brother Aaron shall speak to Pharaoh to let the Israelites depart from his land. I generally say or sing or chant a prayer or a line to get in a ready state and a focused state with the right intention.
Julie Seltzer is a soferet, or scribe, performing a tradition that has been passed down for thousands of years. A feather quill, bottle of ink, and 62 sheets of parchment are all she needs to create a sacred Torah.
A scroll of the Torah is probably the oldest continuous document that humanity has. And the Torah scroll, that is the handwritten scroll of the 5 books of Moses, represents God's wisdom and what human beings need to know in order to be human beings. For someone to take on the sacred, holy responsibility of writing a Torah is an extraordinary commitment.
I don't think of joy and hard work as being separated. It's also an opportunity to be more quiet in a world that often feels very rushed and loud and overwhelming.
The scribe is governed by elaborate rules for how the scribe would copy a Torah, including the number of letters in each book and the number of paragraphs and the number of columns. And they're all checked and double-checked to make sure that the Torah that we read in the synagogue today is, to the best of human capabilities, flawless and exactly like the one God, according to legend, gave Moses on Mount Sinai, that was written in black fire on white fire.
So this is one of my favorite letters, the letter Pei. While it's a Pei with the black ink, in the formation of the letter, what you see on the inside in the white space is actually another Hebrew letter. It's the Bet. I read the words and then I say them and then I write them. It helps the scribe to not make errors.
Though she is following centuries-old scribal rules, Julie is actually breaking with tradition in 2 ways. She is a woman in a field dominated by male scribes. And instead of a scribe's customary solitude, Julie is writing her Torah in public view at the Contemporary Jewish Museum.
According to traditional Jewish law, only a Torah that's written by an adult Jewish male will be kosher for use. So this is why women haven't historically been scribes.
Barred from traditional scribal schools because of her gender, Julie looked online and found a teacher willing to train a woman.
The Torah that Julie is writing for us will be the second Torah ever written by a woman. 20 years ago, it was not common to find very many female rabbis. And things have really changed and progressed. And so I'm hoping in 20 years, it will not be unusual to have a female scribe.
For Julie, being commissioned to write a Torah was a dream come true. But performing a spiritual act in public is proving a bit of a challenge.
I don't know of any other museum who's really, over a year period, had somebody, in a sense, on view doing their work. There are artists who, as part of a performance piece, their work includes people and interaction, but not something that's trying to produce something that then will be sacred and used. So we really have been struggling with how to balance the interest of our visitors with the needs of Julie as she writes the Torah.
When she first started, visitors used to come right up to Julie to peer over her shoulder. Now her space is cordoned off, and a live video projection offers a voyeuristic view of her hand at work. Regularly scheduled breaks allow visitors the chance to ask their most burning questions.
I'm just wondering, I'm sure there are times when there are mistakes made, and I'm just curious about how you fix those mistakes.
Thank you for recognizing that certainly there would be mistakes. The biggest myth is that a scribe can't make any mistakes, and if you make a mistake, you have to start the whole Torah over, which I think is kind of a remarkable myth, simply because people actually believe it, which is amazing. Because something is holy, it doesn't mean that you necessarily want to stay away from it, because holiness is also about coming close to something. So for me, that's what's amazing, to be able to share that process. I get to be very close to the Torah as I'm writing it, and people, as they watch, can also be part of that process.
Before she became a scribe, Julie was a baker for a Jewish retreat center. She would often shape ritual breads into her favorite scenes from the Torah.
I've made everything from a scene of people getting swallowed up by the earth. It was a giant mound challah ripped apart with little people flailing about, to ritual objects, and this year is based on scribal oddities or interesting things connected to a scribe's work. So it's usually words or other things connected to how Torah is written.
As part of her residency at the museum, Julie is combining her dual passions for baking and scribal arts by conducting food for thought workshops for visitors.
We're going to be making hamantashen, but that's not the only thing that we're going to be doing. We're going to be talking about the holiday of Purim.
After studying a passage from the Torah, the class gathers in the museum's kitchen to make baked goods related to that portion of the text.
I love doing baking workshops and sessions because it's a way for people to connect with Torah with an easier entryway than the text. And everyone gets to participate and everyone gets to learn through doing.
Taking time to interact with the public has its rewards, but at this point, Julie's beginning to feel the pressure of completing the Torah. She's about a third of the way through and must finish by December. At the rate of 1 column a day, the work is painstaking and precise.
Kind of like if you're going to run a marathon, you have the training schedule, and if you follow the schedule, you'll be ready to run the marathon. So I have my Torah schedule, and if I write the amount that I need to write every day, then I'll complete it on time, God willing.
Right around the corner from Julie's desk, visitors can lift a cloth to see a few of the sheets completed so far. Eventually, they will be bound together into one scroll and offered to a community in need of a Torah.
One of the great things about learning about the Torah is that they're always done anonymously. So there's only 304,805 letters. It does not allow you to sign your name to the Torah. We'll be sending this Torah out in the world to be used, and eventually no one will even know that Julie wrote this Torah, because it will just be one of the Torahs being used by a congregation somewhere who will really read it and use it as a sacred object. And who wrote it is not important, but it will have a new life as a living document.
Julie Seltzer continues her work at the Contemporary Jewish Museum until October 3rd. And what a fitting way to recognize the changing role of women during Women's History Month.